Hello, second graders. Mrs. Burkett just wanted to hop in here real quick and share with you an extra little article here. I want to see if I can zoom it in that I have, and it goes along with the video about text features. So, our stories this week, Taking Care of Pepper and Tiva and Lola, both were narrative nonfictions. So they were not just fictional stories, and so they looked different. They had photographs in them that were authentic, real photographs of horse and a boy and a girl and an animal, the rhino. And I want to share this little article with you. This is a genre of an interview, but right away you'll notice that it has some other types of text features that are kind of unique that right away tell us this is a different type of text. It's not just a story. So we're going to compare text, read about how people at animal shelters care for animals. So we read about how Jack cared for his horse, Pepper, and we read about how Tiva cared for her rhino, the rhino Lola, and made a pet out of it. In fact, Lola became a part of her family. She even was able to help it do some things that because the mother wasn't there, Tiva showed her how to wallow in the mud to keep the sun from burning her skin and the animals from biting. Tiva fed her lots of milk. Can you believe that? How many gallons of milk? So lots of questions. So this is an interview, and it's going to tell us why it's an interview. The title is called Animal Needs. Anne is in charge of an animal shelter. We asked her questions about how people care for animals there. In this interview, the words after Q, and we see two little dots, and that's called a semicolon. That's kind of a text feature. Q and two little dots, those words that follow after that are the questions we asked. The words after a capital A with the two little dots, and that's called a colon, are Anne's answer. So here's the interview. Question: what is an animal shelter? Answer: an animal shelter is a place for animals that need an owner to take care of them. Question: what kinds of animals live at the shelter? Answer: we have dogs, cats, and rabbits. And here we see a photograph, which is a type of text feature of a real person holding a real, it's like a black poodle. And do you remember what we call the words that are underneath or beside or close to a picture or a photograph? They're called captions. That's a text feature. A caption tells us what's going on in the picture or in the photographs. It gives us a little bit more information. Anne is the owner of our animal friends. So the name of this shelter is called Our Animal Friends. And she's taking care of it, much like Jack and Tiva took care of their animals. How, and here's the question again, how do you make sure all the animals have their needs met? Answer: it isn't easy. All animals need food, water, air, and shelter. Each animal has different needs. Some animals, such as dogs, like to eat meat. Other animals, such as rabbits, eat plants. Dogs need exercise. I take them for walks on a leash. If I did that with one of our cats, the cat would not be happy. I would not be giving it the care it needs. So we're learning from the answer that she gave in this interview, that Anne gave in the interview, that different animals have different kinds of needs. And even in our science, this ties together with our science and the things that birds need. And we wouldn't take a bird for a walk necessarily, but we were making little bird feeders for them. Birds need feed, especially in the winter. So they asked Anne another question. The interviewer did. Question: who else works at the shelter? Answer: we have an animal doctor, a veterinarian. He makes sure the animals are healthy. And we see another photograph up here of several puppies, dogs, up at a gate. A puppy's needs in the caption, these words tell us about what's going on in the picture or the photograph. A puppy's needs are different from a dog's needs. To grow, the puppy needs to eat more times during the day. Now, I don't think a puppy would drink as much milk as Lola did. Could you believe that? Every time she drank 5 times a day, more than a gallon? So, like 6 or 7 gallons of milk altogether a day. It says, make a connection. How do we care for animals? Think about the animals you have read about this week. I'm going to move myself over here. How are their needs the same? So you could even talk about the birds that we learned about in Mystery Science, the things that Jack needed, or to give Pepper the fresh bale of hay and cleaning out his stall, and brushing his mane, his coat and back. So some pets need that and some don't. But I want you to think about doing an interview. Can you imagine interviewing someone at an animal shelter? Why do animals need shelters? Why do animals need places for people to take care of them? Because some animals aren't being taken care of very well, so we take them to a shelter, right? But I know you have learned a lot about taking care of animals this week and how animals can become an important part of our family, our life. They're friends to us. Not only do we teach them things like Tiva taught Lola to wallow, and Jack taught Pepper to race and run when he was riding him and giving him exercise. And we can teach dogs tricks and things to rule over. And sometimes you can even teach a bird something, some birds. But, animals become a part of our family. And our last story for this unit is going to be about families. But think about maybe you doing an interview. What would be some questions? We talked about the strategy of asking good questions, asking questions about Lola and Tiva and Jack and Pepper and what the author was giving us and the details he was giving us. I know one question I had was, I wonder why Lola's mom was blinded, why the rhinoceros mother was blind. So asking good questions is a great way, and I don't know if you know who does this, but people who work in the news, they ask questions, they interview people, and some of you might become that kind of person someday. So you might want to practice your interviewing skills. Think about who you might interview. I don't know if you can interview a pet. Pet can't really talk back. But next week, when we read our last selection for this unit, we're going to be talking about families and families working together. But think about maybe someone in your family you might interview, maybe a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle, someone who has a pet, maybe a neighbor or a friend who has a pet, and you might interview them and ask them about how they take care of their pets. So I hope you have a great Friday, boys and girls. And I'm enjoying listening and seeing your assignments and things, and looking forward to another great week next week. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.